this week on the Bubble Chat.
I think that it did what it was supposed to do. It landed how it was supposed to land, but it also makes me think of the TV show The Golden Girls. I don't know if you're familiar with that show, nephew, but this is a classic old school white lady TV show.
I think setting boundaries is very necessary. I do that in my own personal life with friends and family and whatnot. However, to be in the public eye, I think that's very tragic. To have to remind people that, hey, I'm not at your beck and call. Mm-hmm. She already threw on the stage, so follow home is absolutely wonderful.
High schools are at an even more vulnerable stage. Mm-hmm. They're still trying to figure out who they are, what they're comfortable with, and how to express their boundaries.
And these new things to where, not that you can have a filter on your picture, on your profile, but to even have a profile, you need it does a facial recognition.
I think they should have the actual category of job description that is protecting those youth, those people who don't really have a voice, and they can say, hey, you know what, Miss Such and Such.
With telekinetic psychic fucking abilities, that she had to clock a bitch about being racist. That's what it was. We just said a whole different narrative. We just said on how it was Black History Month and it was her show and they did this and we need to be aware of it. But let me say what had happened again. Raven-Symoné, the young Black actress of the show on Disney, producer, director, right? They had an episode in Black History Month. See, her telekinetic psychic ability just jumped over the head. Woo, woo, woo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another round of the Bubble Chat. Season 4 is officially underway, and here we are in our second episode of Season 4. Every season feels like its own little adventure, and this one is already bubbling with surprises, laughs, and some really important conversations.
Now, if you've been with us since day one, you know the Bubble Chat has always been about creating a space where we can drop the formalities and just be real. It's a place where we can laugh at the silly stuff, unpack the serious stuff, and remind ourselves that conversations don't have to be stiff. Around here, the goal is connection, plain and simple. And speaking of connection, today we got another guest co-host in the motherfucking house, and I'm thrilled to make about it. Joining us today is someone who brings great energy, strong opinions, and even a little bit more of mischief. Hey. Her name is Tracy, also known as Green Eyes. Say hey, Tracy.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're fine. Go ahead.
She's so reserved, you guys, and demure. So she's stepping to the bubble with us. So trust me, you're going to love what she brings to the table.
Now, before we dive all the way in, I want to set the tone. Today's episode is about more than just headlines or hot takes. It's about learning into, did I say learning?
Yeah.
Leaning into asking the questions we don't always get to ask. And of course, having some fun while we do it.
That's right. So whether you're listening in your car, watching on your couch, or sneaking with us during your work, don't worry, your secret's safe with us. I promise you're in for a good one. So take a breath, relax, and let's get started. With me, your host and our guest co-host, Green Eyes, Tracy herself. This is the Bubble Chat. Let's pop into the hot topics. Normally, how we say it is, as a great Wendy Williams said, we get into the hot topics, but we always ask ourselves, how you doing?
How you doing?
My mom used to say that too.
That's right. Well, first up, Mean Girls director. Y'all remember Mean Girls? Wasn't that Lindsay Lohan before she was a dolphin? Allegedly.
Fire crotch?
Fire. Ooh. All right. Yeah. So Mean Girls director Mark Waters recently revealed that Rachel McAdams originally auditioned for the role of Cady Heron. Was that her name in the movie?
Cady Heron.
Oh, Cady Heron? Okay, so and at the time, McAdams was 25 while Lindsay Lohan was just 17 years old. Waters felt McAdams was too old for convincingly to play a innocent new girl. But her star power and maturity made her a perfect role for Regina George instead. Now, during their audition together, McAdams' confidence actually made Lohan a little nervous, an interaction that reflected the exact tension we seen between Regina and Cady on screen. So now the producers also wanted Lohan in the lead role after her breakout in Freaky Friday, which gave them the film an extra box office draw. Now, looking back on this, the switch seems almost faded. Lohan brought a mix of vulnerability and relatability to Cady, while McAdams delivered one of the most iconic Queen Bee performances in teen movie history. They call them HBICs. That's a head bitch in charge these days, right?
Exactly.
Yes, so it's hard to imagine the roles reversed without changing the entire feel of the film. Now, do you believe Mean Girls would have been as iconic if McAdams, who played Cady, and Lohan, who had stepped into Regina's shoes, or did the cast land exactly where it needed to?
Well, I think it landed exactly where it needed to.
Yeah, here's how I feel about it, honestly. Part of me feels like maybe the director just thought Lindsay was the perfect fit for Cady. She had the right energy, the right innocence, and the right star power to carry the film. I honestly don't think the director was hyper focused on age in that moment. I think it was more about who could bring the character to life the best way possible. You get what I'm saying? But then on the
That's right.
other hand, at the same time, I also think it's one of those situations where maybe the conversation should have been less about age and more about character. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about who embodies the role, who connects with the audience, and who makes the story believable. So while I understand the age discussion comes up, for me, it feels like the heart of it is really about casting a character for a character and authenticity, not just for the number of someone's birth certificate. Honestly, the way that oh, yeah, but
Um,
that's my 2 cents. How you feel about it, Donnie?
I think that it did what it was supposed to do. It landed how it was supposed to land, but it also makes me think of the TV show The Golden Girls. I don't know if you're familiar with that show, nephew, but this is a classic old school white lady TV show. But the thing was, there was Dorothy, there was Rose, and there was Blanche.
And Sophia.
Years before, Betty White and Rue, I don't remember her last name, but that's Blanche and Rose. They played
Betty White and Rue McClanahan.
There you go.
I do hope I said that right.
I'm gonna say them names. So Rue and Betty had been on a TV show called Mama's Family. Yes. On that show, remember Betty White was the diva. Yes. She was the rich bitch in the family, right? Exactly. And remember Rue, say her last name again, nephew?
Rue McClanahan. I do hope I said her last name right, though.
Little,
Exactly.
So when they tried out for the Golden Girls, they already said that they wanted Rose to be the bitch, and they wanted Blanche to be the simp. And then once they actually got there, they switched it. You see that?
Yeah.
So these things happen all the time, and it actually is always, and sometimes it's not done for the better, because there have been roles in casting where they've switched some and it did not fare out so well.
Yeah, we don't know those.
Yeah, because it didn't fare out so well. That's why trash is trash; it gets thrown away. But yeah, like we said, it's a iconic and historic performance of all the ladies. Director, job well done, and I don't want to talk about these white girls no more.
Okay.
Next.
Okay, well, a Broadway powerhouse, Audra McDowell, recently shared a disturbing incident following one of her final performances in Gypsy. In the Instagram video, she recounted how a fan tracked her from the stage door to her residence, even entering in the building and standing uncomfortably close, all in hopes of an autograph. When the security intervened, the visitor responded with the audacity, "I've come all this way," as if entitled, annulled basic respect. McDowell called the behavior a big no-no and made heartfelt plea for fans to honor performers' personal boundaries. Please, 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 especially when they choose not to stop at the stage door for reasons like health, exhaustion, parenting duties, despite the unsettling encounter, McDowell concluded her Broadway run with grace and gratitude, recognized for her historic portrayal, portrayal as the first Black Mama Rose on Broadway and earning her 11th Tony nomination in the process.
Congratulations.
Bravo, 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 bravo. This incident overscores how easily admiration can cross into intrusion. Even the most revered performers shouldn't make or have to choose between safety and appreciation. What do y'all think?
Well,
I think setting boundaries is very necessary. I do that in my own personal life with friends and family and whatnot. However, to be in the public eye, I think that's very tragic to have to remind people that, hey, I'm not at your beck and call.
mm-hmm.
She already threw it on the stage, so follow her home was absolutely no. They would have got the pium for me. I don't know about y'all, but pium would have been good there.
Well, as a rising star myself, I don't even have a fraction, 3% of the notary in the job that they have done and things that we have just noted her for her accomplishments. Baby, I'm scared of getting approached at the produce and pack and save. I'm thinking about to bust my head because I said something about somebody I know, or maybe even them. So I'm gonna say, when there are levels to the shit, you don't have to act like you all that.
Right.
But act like you are enough to maybe invest in some security.
Yeah, because I don't even like when my Uber drive me am I single?
Right. Now, here's two things. LA and New York, full of celebrities. We see them all the time. But the thing about a New York celebrity is that bitch will be on the BART, on the subway with the rats and the regular people. And they're treated regular, right? LA people fan out. You see them at the restaurant, things like that. They're regular people. They eat and they catch the BART, right? So, but the thing is maybe, and I'm going to assume, the casualty of celebrity in New York, she was comfortable enough not to do that, but was reminded that that's something that you should do, or all celebrities should lean into some security detail at some point in their career, even if it's just for certain moments, as in, I am the first Black Mama Rosa on Broadway. I'm doing all these great things. I'm getting an Emmy. I think you deserve a little bit of security detail to see you through that. You might not need security detail to go maybe through the airport or maybe another show. But for that, I would assume, you're worth the investment of protecting yourself with security.
Honestly, I feel like the way the fan handled the situation when trying to get her autograph was not only necessary, but also really unprofessional. Here's the thing. Whenever I see a famous person, like Lady Gaga, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, and all that, the best thing to do is respect the boundaries they set. If they're open to a photo, then great, take the photo. But if they're not, then that's okay too. Because they're still people and they deserve to feel safe and comfortable in their own space. I also think that when it comes to meeting celebrities, it's not just about what we want as fans. It's about making sure they have as comfortable as an experience as possible. And I'll be honest, I'm still learning a little bit of ways to make sure those boundaries are respected, baby steps, right? But one thing I do know for sure is that following someone to their home crosses the lines.
That's where I was.
That's not just a boundary violation. It just flat out wrong. And sorry for cutting you off, Adonis. I'll let you get to your thoughts. But respecting boundaries isn't just about being polite. It's about recognizing someone's humanity, even when they're a celebrity. Because the truth of it is, no one said being in the entertainment industry is going to be for the faint of heart.
No, my thing I was going to say was, if this was all over just an autograph, baby, I think you probably could have asked for the autograph the 2 blocks outside of the theater.
Exactly.
Because you made it all the way to the house and the building eerily close. You see what I'm saying? Like, if it was all for autograph, you could have been asked for autograph. God told you, ask thou shalt receive. But he was seeking and finding and knocking and opening doors with her.
Mm-mm.
That's the big
He was in close proximity.
Yes.
He was in Pum space.
Well.
Nah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You in my dwellings.
Yes. Come on, nephew.
Alrighty, hold on just 1 second.
Yeah, that's creepy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Love.
making um alrighty. Well, check this out.
What?
I came across an article from Onstage blog that makes a strong case for why high school theater programs need intimacy coordinators. The piece was inspired by a TikTok from a student actress who described an uncomfortable experience during the production of a sideshow in a in a tunnel love scene. The physicality went further than she expected, and when she voiced concerns, her stage management
Mm,
dismiss them. The
mm,
article argues that this isn't just an isolated incident, it's a gap in how schools handle physical intimacy on stage. In
Mm.
professional theater and film, intimacy coordinators are now standard. They help set boundaries, choreograph moments of touch, and make sure every actor feels safe and respected. The writer suggests that if we treat fight choreography as essential for safety, intimate staging deserves the same production. High school actors are still learning how to advocate for themselves and may not always feel comfortable saying no without proper guidance. They can be left feeling vulnerable, embarrassed, or even unsafe. An intimacy coordinator provides a neutral trained voice to ensure that young performers can fully commit to their roles without worrying about unwanted surprises or cross boundaries. The takeaway: respecting students' physical and emotional safety should be a match be as much a part of theater education as teaching lines and blocking. So, how do you feel about this, Butler? Should intimacy coordinators become a standard part of school theater programs the same way directors and choreographers are? I'll start with one of you guys.
I say absolutely, and I would sign up for that position as a person who respects boundaries and could be neutral about, are you feeling safe? Maybe you might have an episode where you might get aroused, and I can tell the person,
oh, right. Okay.
yeah, well, you know what? Let's take a break. That's a natural arousal moment. It's not personal, and talk the other cast member through it so they won't feel like wait a minute, I didn't sign up for this. But being the extra pair of eyes.
Yeah, no one signed up to be the assault or the assailant.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got you.
Because I will speak on something that I heard hearsay from an actual actress. I'm not going to name any names, but they were on a very popular sitcom for many, many years. And she was being accosted by the leading male role, constantly being hugged and kissed and tugged and prodded. And so finally, we saw less and less of her in her role. They were making it seem like she was on the way to nursing school or vacation, but she wasn't present.
They're
because
just writing her off.
they didn't write her off. They had to pay her off.
Well, I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, writing her off of the screen, like out of the story.
Yeah, they had her in the story, but not her physical presence. Now, had they had someone, like you said, a neutral party to help facilitate some understanding, I think that,
or voice and opinion or emotion,
you can, like the word it says, neutralize. It can stop the actual action from happening. So I think that's a great idea.
Now,
Yeah,
theater, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to get to my 2 cents. As a recent college graduate who got my bachelor's in theater, I can say without hesitation, I 1,000,000% agree with everything this author is saying about the need for intimacy coordinators in theater. You know, when I was in college, I had an advisor who also served as my alma mater student department intimacy choreographer. And in one of the meetings, when I was learning about intimacy, I got to learn firsthand how it works in the theater industry. And one of the biggest lessons that stuck with me was this: actors always have the right to change their mind. Consent isn't something that you give once and then it's locked forever. Consent really is going, and it can be withdrawn at any time. That's why it's so important that intimacy work is handled with absolute respect and care. Actors and actresses need to feel completely comfortable when performing. That means they should never feel pressured into a moment of physical intimacy, whether that's a kiss, a touch, or even just close physical contact if they don't feel safe. And the same goes for their scene partners. Intimacy isn't just about what happens on stage. It's about communication, trust, and mutual respect between the people performing together. A good intimacy coordinator makes sure that consent is asked for, checked in on, and respected at all times. And here's where it gets really important. This isn't just professional theater. High school theater absolutely should have intimacy coordinators because if you think about it for 1 second, high schoolers are at an even more vulnerable stage. They're still trying to figure out who they are, what they're comfortable with, and how to express their boundaries. Having a professional to guide them through that not only protects them in that moment, but it teaches them lifelong lessons about consent, boundaries, and communication. So honestly, I'd argue that any school with a theater department should have intimacy coordinators, not just high school
That's
and not just colleges, but across the board in its entirety. Because if we want theater to be a safe, creative, and inclusive space, we need to build that foundation early. So yes, high should high school or theater have intimacy coordinators? Absolutely. And the sooner we normalize this
mhm.
across all theater spaces, the stronger and safety the industry will be for everyone involved.
Right.
How do you feel about it, Donis?
I feel the same way, but I also want to address that we want to acknowledge you, nephew. We want to congratulate you and want to salute you for graduating in theater at college, bachelorette, right? Bachelors, sorry, bachelors. What I mean, and I say that to say, because this is a segue statement. I say that to say that all students should feel safe no matter what subject or activity they partake in school.
Yes, agree.
And so we're going to take this time to, like I just said, acknowledge nephew for all of the things that you are doing in your educational career.
Bravo.
And we want to acknowledge all children who are doing things in their educational career as student, no matter from kindergarten to your master's degree. So we're going to send our condolences and our well wishes to the victims that were attacked at the Catholic school in Minneapolis today.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So tragic.
So nephew, I love when you get on your soapbox. I love when you address these student matters and these issues that are happening on campuses, because we tend to forget that go all the way from actually birth to adulthood. And then pick an age, because we can all go back to school and be a student at any time. But we all need to be safe. And I'm going to pray that you continue to be safe when you continue to go to school, wherever you're going to go forward. And like I said, we're going to pray for the safety, and our condolences goes out to the families of those who are affected in the Minneapolis tragedy today. So unfortunate.
Yeah.
So unfortunate. So on that note, let's go over here and just discuss the Louisiana Attorney General, Liz Muriel, has filed a lawsuit against Roblox for allegedly enabling sexual predators to thrive, unite, hunt, and victimize kids. This is so sad. Due to insignificant safety protocols. The claim emphasizes that Roblox prioritizes user growth and profits over the protection of young users. This is tragic. Just a small sidebar. My mother's husband was a predator, and there was no voice for me. So this really tits and tugs at my heart here. So kudos to Louisiana Attorney General Liz Muriel. So can we continue here? The claim emphasizes that Roblox prioritizes user growth and profits over the protection of young users. The lawsuit highlights disturbing examples, including one in Louisiana where the predator allegedly used voice-altering software to impersonate a child on the platform. Comparable incidents have been reported elsewhere, such as in Iowa, a case in which a 13-year-old girl was allegedly groomed on a Roblox, subsequently trafficked, and Roblox rejects the allegations, stating it has implemented safeguarding measurements. Yeah, right. Including restricting personal information, deploying AI tools, and detect potential exploitation. Well, that's just not enough, if you ask me. The platform says over 1,200 reports of possible child exploitation were sent to the National Center of Missing and Exploited Children in early 2025. We are just halfway through the year.
That's what I was going to say.
That is horrible. So Bubblers, with millions of kids using Roblox daily, do you think these new safety measures are enough? I don't. Are they still coming too little too late? Absolutely.
I honestly think this just shows how important it is to have real conversations with kids about internet safety. Because it's not enough to just tell them don't talk to strangers online anymore. Kids need a safe, comfortable space where they can openly talk about what they see, who they interact with, and what makes them feel uneasy. With Roblox specifically, the concern is that predators can disguise themselves as kids. They'll pretend to be another young user and then slowly build trust before asking for something personal like a home address, phone number, or even private photos. And sadly, this isn't unique to Roblox. That can happen on almost any platform for that matter, which is why the conversation has to start early and be ongoing. You know, parents can really play a huge role here by teaching kids what red flags look like. Things like if someone asks to move a conversation off the app, if they're being asked for personal info, or if the conversation suddenly becomes secretive. Encouraging kids to always come forward without fear of getting in trouble is key. There are so many resources out there on how to have these conversations in age appropriate ways, and I'll make sure to link some of them or whatever I can find for you to check it out. Because at the end of the day, kids can feel empowered to enjoy games, like to enjoy games on whatever is right for the parents, but with the knowledge and tools to protect themselves. The more we normalize these discussions, the less power predators have. And honestly, creating that open space of trust between kids and parents can make all the difference.
Yes, it will.
It's really, really sad, but it brings me to pause and think about other things on different platforms, such as like dating apps like Tinder and what's that, POF, Plenty of Fish. So they're implicating these new things to where not that you can have a filter on your picture on your profile, but to even have a profile, you need it does a facial recognition. You know, like it's like a real thing. It's a real thing, you know, and I don't know what kind of archive the facial recognition goes into, but it is to appropriately and efficiently identify who you say you are. Because just like in the story, it said that there was a person, I believe it was in Iowa, that used the voice altering gadget or something like that, right? Yes. Now see, sickness always starts in a thought. And then you think and you curate, and that turns into an action. Now that's how we get serial killers and rapists, because it was a thought and they thought about it and then they put it into action and then they repeated it and then it's just like they said, you know, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, the easier it comes, the more talented you are. Though that is not a talent, it is a sickness, a toxic sickness. The thing is it starts somewhere. And in this story, we see how it led to, before you actually even get to touch the child, the lengths of deception that you're going to go through to do that. So everything. I'm in total support of all the guidelines and the things that need to be that are necessary to be taken to make it a safer format, or platform for kids. It's just that it's sad to say, like, it's always going to be somebody sick out there.
Next on the agenda, Nickelodeon alumni Ashley Argota spoke up about years of alleged emotional, financial, and physical abuse from her mother during her childhood and young adult years, particularly while she was starring in True Jackson VP. Among the most shocking moments she shared was an instance where, at age 22, her mother allegedly choked her after a date, pushing Ashley to finally break away and cut contact. Argota's or has also revealed how her mother controlled nearly every aspect of her life, isolating her socially, constantly criticizing her appearances. She even forced Ashley to pinch her nose to make it appear less flat and spending funds from her Coogan account, leaving her financially powerless despite her success. Now, 32 and a mother herself, Ashley says motherhood gave her a new perspective. She's determined to break that cycle of trauma for herself and for her child. Her experiences even inspired her to write a screenplay, The Kindness of Strangers, which won the Asian American International Screenplay Competition in 2023. All right, that's a lot to sit with, and I'm so glad Ashley is using her voice to spark change. I can't even believe I'm hearing about this, if I gotta be honest. But how do we feel about the responsibility of the industry, or even us as fans, to ensure child actors or teen actors are actually safe behind the camera and not just in the spotlight? I want to start off by saying this: learning about Ashley's story is honestly really shocking. She was so young, and to know she had to face those kinds of demands from her mother is heartbreaking. The fact that she lost out on so many normal teenage and kid experiences, like celebrating birthdays, are moments that she can never get back. What makes it even more difficult is realizing that Ashley's experience isn't an isolated one. We've seen other young stars who go through similar and not same struggles. Dan McCurdy, for instance, she has spoken very openly about her abusive relationship with her mother, and she's admitted that she absolutely hated her acting career because it constantly brought her back memories of what she was forced into by her mom. And then there's Alexa Nicholas, who, oh, by the way, for those of you who don't know who Jeanette McCurdy is, she was known for Sam Puckett in iCarly and Sam and Cat, and she even has a book called "I'm Glad My Mom Died," which I have, and I'm still not done yet.
Glasses off on that one. She said, "I'm glad my
Yeah,
mom."
yeah. Well, that's what it says on the cover. And in fact, there's even a show on Apple TV Plus that's going to be based about it
Mm.
also pretty soon. So, but going back to the story here, then there's Alexa Nicholas, who we all remember as Nicole on Zoe 101. While her story wasn't about parental abuse, she still went through a lot. She often felt the outsider among her castmates, faced constant conflict, and from what she shared, Dan Snyder didn't create a supportive environment either. Eventually,
Mm.
after season two, she either left or was pushed out, but either way, her character disappeared from the show entirely. So when you put Ashley's stories next to Jeanette and Alexis, you started to see a large pattern of young actors, especially from networks like Nickelodeon, who were put in really damaging
There's lots of
situations.
dark stories coming out about Nickelodeon.
And Disney. Well, so
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
and it's okay. And it's an example that the industry needs to do so much better at protecting young performers, making sure they're safe, respected, and supported, not just on screen, but in every part of the life. Because what they had to go through at the time was honestly fucking awful.
Yeah.
But how y'all feel about it?
I personally feel, well,
no, I got the haymaker. Go ahead.
okay. I personally feel that absolutely, not just young people, but children, when they're at a certain adolescent age, before before, what is it called when you before you're a
Puberty.
teen? Puberty, before you're a teen. It's like, come on. These predators don't have a ethic code at all. And then you have to deal with a parent, which could be just so traumatic and heartbreaking.
And doing the same thing as a predator.
But just worse, because that's the person that birthed you. They're supposed to protect you, and just whipping you like a slave.
That's when real Stockholm syndrome starts. You are beating me and abusing me, and I love you.
Ooh,
you see what I'm saying?
I
like
do.
that's
I was
the
going there,
first
but
case.
you went all the way there.
That's the first case of Stockholm syndrome. You know, you
That's
think about
just
your abuse
terrible.
and the victim.
So,
Sorry to cut you off.
no, you're fine. I love how you interjected, and just to bring it all the way home. You know, as a child who survived and had therapy and whatnot because of my mother's husband, there's nobody to protect you if it's the parent.
It's a provider. Yes, it is.
Not is either distraught or absent-minded, or either just unaware, or if they're the actual perpetrator of the abuse, and or it's just like being a slave. Like you're a slave to your parent.
There's a thin line between naivety and denial.
It's just so sad. And I
Can I just
go ahead.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say one important thing. I also feel like since those kid actors were like way younger than 18 years old, I feel like their parents need to still be there on set at all costs. And my mom even mentioned it on an episode before. Like, if I was a young actor, right? If I was a young actor, my mom would make sure that she'd go with me to make sure that I feel safe. Because if I were to go through something like this, let me tell you something, she would raise a lot of fucking hell, period, point blank. Like, she's not going to leave a child alone on set, especially when they do something like this. So,
but in her mother was the abuser,
right?
So I think they should have set people that you hire that can actually coordinate what's appropriate and what's inappropriate, even if the parent is the mother or the dadager or whatever. I think they should have the actual category of job description that is protecting those youth, those people who don't really have a voice, and they can say, hey, you know what, Miss Such and Such, your daughter Ashley actually she's feeling very uncomfortable, and so here's what we can do to make it an ease way, so that you can still manage and she can still act comfortably. I think that's a position.
And like you can be a parent versus a hired whatever, you know, or whatever the title is. Here's the gag. This one, I want you guys to listen to all these examples I'm going to give of a parent. We have Papa Power of all time, Joe Jackson.
I knew you were going to bring him up.
Okay? He told them kids, shut up. Janet Jackson, we never called him daddy. He was always Joe to us, right? Okay, that's a parent that was there all the time, right? Okay. Next parent. King Norwood, Mama King Norwood. Ooh. Brandy and Ray J mama.
I need a fan.
Right? Right? She been there, ain't going nowhere. She still manages her kids, right?
Yes, she is.
Okay, now, not to speak bad on the dead or their parents, but then we have a parent of Aaliyah.
Oh.
Huh?
Her uncle.
Kind of there, not there.
Yeah.
You know what? Right? Okay. Oh, slippery slope. Right? Okay. And then here comes the Mac mother of all time, Chris motherfucking Jenner.
Oh, she's a pimp.
From behind the side of the camera. You see what I'm saying? So it really depends on the type of parent that you have.
Yeah, but they were adults when she started pimping.
Now, in every scenario I gave, all these kids is damaged.
Yeah, but they were
and everyone, even though Janet Jackson is gravely rich, pamperedly damaged, she damaged. If the Kardashian and Jenner girls aren't damaged, because you know girls go through heartache, embarrassment, that ain't right. But them kids, that's generational damage. You see that?
Damn.
Now Leah ain't even here, and we are damaged by that man still, right? So
exactly. The damage never goes away.
You see that, but they're all damaged by
Predatory.
consenting present parent in their careers. It really depends on the type of parent that you have. It really depends on the type of parent that you have, because we called King Mama Sonia Norwood a shark, right? Because she would take your head off over them kids. You were not about to play with my kids, right? And then you have Kris Jenner. She gonna say, you gonna pay my kids for their pain. You're gonna pay us. We'll go through anything, sir. But that number got to be right on that check. She gonna do it. I'll make sure she's gonna do it. Joe Jackson, my kids are talented. Open up the door, bust down, and don't stop. Keep going. Don't stop. It won't stop. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you loud.
But it really just depends on the type of parent that you have. Jawan, you have a wonderful mother.
Yeah,
she promotes you. She helps you. You guys collaborate both in both of your fields. Am I correct?
Yes.
That's the kind of parent we need out here. Loving, indulging, and co-merging, coexisting with their children.
Well,
we can all take a page from each parent that I said book to do something great in their child's life. But the thing that they did not do essentially was continuously be their parent. The role changed. That little girl's mother from Nickelodeon, she's back there whooping that little girl's ass.
Choking her.
If you don't do it, now this emotional abuse. If you don't do it, I'll beat your ass.
Physical abuse.
I mean, but I'm saying emotionally, I'm intimidating you while I'm physically abusing you, and then money-wise manipulating.
I wonder if there's statute of limitations if she could just actually have her mom prosecuted for doing that. But you know what? With all that being said, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Grab a drink, stretch your legs, because I know I will be. And do what you need to do. We'll come right back and we'll dive into our next topics. Trust me, you don't want to miss it.
All right, welcome back to the Bubble Chat. We've had some amazing conversations so far, and it's time to shift gears into one of my favorite parts of the show. Our next segment, social lessons from media. This is where we take a step back from a look at the shows, movies, and even viral moments that shape the way we see the world. Because let's be real, media isn't just entertainment, it's a teacher. It reflects society, it changes us, and sometimes it even shows us what not to do. So in this segment, we're going to pull out some of those lessons, whether it's about friendship, identity, respect, or just how we treat one another, and talk about what they really mean off screen. So let's jump right into today's social lessons from media.
Alrighty. Well, in honor of Black August, at least before this episode is released, because next week's about to be September, I wanted to take a moment to highlight an episode of That's So Raven that really stands out. It's not just a piece of entertainment, but as an important lesson. In this episode, Raven goes out for a job but gets rejected, while her best friend Chelsea ends up getting hired instead. Later, Raven had a vision that the manager Chloe outright admits, and I quote, "I don't hire Black people." That moment is heavy, and what follows is Raven's parents and families and her friends stepping in to help her disguise herself as a Black man just to tell the truth. What's especially powerful in this episode takes place during Black History Month in February. And while that month is a time of dedicated reflection, the storyline reminds us that we can and should honor Black history and confront racism all year round. And this episode sends a clear message. Racism unfortunately still exists, even in spaces where we might not expect it. But the bigger takeaway is that we cannot overlook it. It's vital that we call it out, we name it, and we push back against it whenever we see it. Shows like Dr. Raven did more than make us laugh. They also held up a mirror to society. And in moments like this, they gave young viewers, especially Black viewers, the validation that what they experience is real and the courage to know that it's not okay and it should never be normalized.
Never be normalized.
How do you feel about it?
Well, I think that And That's So Raymond was like almost 20 years ago, right? But it's
Yes.
so that in 2025, especially with this administration, but with yeah, I'm not gonna say his name because I don't feel like the algorithm.
That
put me
orange
on-
man that is
They might even put him there anyway, as I was trying to say. With him running amok, there was a couple of things that he had said early on that I was like, yeah, maybe. And I was trying to give him a chance, but I was like, when you call a thing, and a duck, and a clown, he just fits the description. And for him to say, well, we're gonna remove when do people you have to be politically correct and saying all these things. I like that. But then he doubled down on it with, well, you can't say anything about me. Well, how can you say that we can have freedom of speech, but we can't say nothing about you? And how is it that you're going to send people out to corral hardworking family members, and because everybody is of value in the society.
Yes.
Everybody's a worker bee. Everybody is an ant trying to do their part, do their job. Those that are falling short, we're supposed to show grace. We're supposed to show mercy. And this man is running amok. He is trying to take us into places that our ancestors have already survived and then some. So I just feel like that topic is still relevant today. Even the song by Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? It is so relevant and it's so sad. It's not even shocking, which makes it even sadder that we have to sit up here and have this conversation when it shouldn't even be relevant. But here we are, 20 years later, with That's So Raven in that episode, knowing that we still have these challenges and now we have these different roadblocks that we'll yet again have to overcome because we have silly idiots and he's really just a puppet because the people behind the scene are really dictating to him what he needs to be doing. It's not just him. So it's just unfortunate that we have to relive these scenes in real life on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Very much so true.
Yeah.
You said Marvin said what's going on. I'm gonna say what Teddy Pendergrass said. Wake up, everybody.
Well, you sound like Tamar Braxton. Cut it out.
You know, ooh.
Nothing close to Daddy.
Speaking of Tamar, no, I'm playing. While she out here suppressing herself. No.
Wait a minute, honey. Back up. Say what you was about to say. What was that?
I forgot what I just said.
Oh,
yeah.
That's why I didn't puff past.
Yeah.
What you said was while she's suppressing herself.
Yeah, she's suppressing her and oppressing her own self and her music right now while she's out here doing scams and schemes and social media with stunts. But back to Raven Simone, what I'm gonna say is it's really on how you look at it, right? It's really just on how you look at it. Now, we know racism exists, right?
They say it don't, but it does.
And we know what racism is.
And that's why they corral people with ICE.
It is like universally ironic that in Black History Month, with a young actress such as Raven Simone starring, producing everything she's on with this show,
directing,
with telekinetic psychic fucking abilities, that she had to clock a bitch about being racist. That's what it was. We just said a whole different narrative. We just said on how it was Black History Month and it was her show and they did this and we need to be aware of it. But let me say what had happened again. Raven Simone, the young Black actress of the show on Disney, producer, director, right? They had an episode in Black History Month. See, her telekinetic psychic ability just jumped over the head. Woo, woo, woo. She had to clock that bitch. I see you, ho. Had to pull your car for it. That's what happened on the show. But we're so immune to they're hating us, they're holding us down. That's not a secret.
Nope.
That's not a secret. That is something that is common law knowledge to the Black man. She just had to remind us. Stay woke. That's Childish Gambino.
While I'm sleeping.
See what I'm saying? So from Marvin to Cady to Childish Gambino, baby, we are, we is, and will
Overcome.
Yes. Yes.
I like Donald Glover.
Yes. Did you see that? Did you see how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Right? They want us to feed and give into a certain narrative, but what really had happened was she had clocked that nigga with her telekinesis motherfucking powers.
Mm. You just went way.
Use a hater, use a hater, use a hater. Yes. I see that. I see it. I love it. I mean,
Puff gave.
See, Puff gave. It did not pass me. See, I love it. I love it. I don't know what my doc said. Hold on, let me pull up my doc show.
I'm about to cry.
Why? It sounded bad?
Yes, honey. You sound like Tamar on crack.
They gonna find you. Don't do me like that. I won't do y'all like that.
You doing us like that. What you talking about?
Don't be like
What
that.
you talking about, Willis?
Shit. We trying to be woke. We trying to be woke.
Sleep. Keep sounding like that.
Well, did you guys enjoy that?
I did.
You did?
Thank you for
I did too.
having me.
Oh, we did love having you.
Oh.
So look, that's a wrap for the day of the Bubble Chat. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this conversation. Please remember and be reminded that these aren't just stories or headlines. They're reminders of how media connects our real lives and lessons and how we carry forward. If you enjoyed today's discussion, please do not forget to follow, share, and keep the conversation going outside of this podcast. And of course, we'll be back with more stories, more reflections, and more bubbles to pop. But until then and until next time, take care of yourselves, look out for one another, and keep the chat alive. This has been the Bubble Chat. See you in the next episode. Good night,
Bye,
guys.
Good night, y'all.